when we pay attention, when we feel the present moment as we sit, we inevitably will observe suffering. It could be about some minor discomfort in the leg. It could be about something, less minor, something that's really truly challenging emotionally or physically. And try to open to see how you respond to that and see that with kindness. We don't grow through self-judgment, although we've all been conditioned to do that. We want to just observe how we respond. It's very natural to try to push away discomfort. So, sitting now in a dignified and upright position, allowing the posture to reflect our intention, to visit ourselves, be present, and through being kind to ourselves, to spread that outward. So please take 3 or 4 deep and slow breaths all the way in and all the way out. Noticing what the air moving through the body feels like. Observing a slight relaxation or release on the exhale. There are sensations in the belly you may notice as it moves up and down with each breath, or the chest as it expands and constricts. Or you may notice the air moving through the nostrils. And these words I use to describe the breath, and even the phrase, the breath, they're abstractions. They're inadequate to really capture the mystery of being alive. The mystery of consciousness in a body. You might try to let go of any tension in the face, around the eyes, the eyelids, and the eyeballs. The cheeks, allowing the tongue to rest in the bottom of the mouth. Letting go of the lips, the jaw, every once in a while, if it's supportive, taking another deep and slow breath. With the chest broad, allowing the shoulders to sink downward. Allowing the chest and belly to expand, release. The weight of the body on the sit bones, the support of the earth. observing the changes from the beginning to the middle to the end of the breath. When the mind gets distracted, simply returning to the present moment with kindness, without a sense of I, without judgment. Noticing the flux and flow, the changes in the breath. Noticing any sense of discomfort or comfort, and allowing them to be as they are. Observing with kindness your responses to sense of comfort or discomfort. In a moment, we'll go into a short metta loving kindness meditation. The invitation is to call up in your heart a being who is easy to love. Can be an animal, a person, alive or dead. And just bringing to your heart this sense of tenderness, joy, of delight in this being. Sensing, imagining, being with them, being next to one another, looking in their face, conveying your care, your appreciation, and saying these or other words. May you be safe and protected. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you live in peace. And now, with that sense of tenderness and care that you felt, and the reciprocity of caring, looking at yourself through their eyes, and perhaps sensing yourself as in your vulnerability, or yourself as a child. May I be safe and protected. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I live in peace. And now calling to mind someone about whom you don't feel strongly, a neutral person, someone you might not know very well. May you be safe and protected. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you live in peace. And now calling up a being whom you find difficult, not necessarily the most difficult being, but someone who is not easy to love. Knowing that they suffer like you do and they want to be safe and happy. May you be safe and protected. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you live in peace. And now sensing or imagining all sentient beings in the whole world. And holding them without exception. May you be safe and protected. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you live in peace. May the merit of our practice benefit all beings without exception. So today we're going to talk about the way that the, the energy, the joy, the awareness that we can get from present moment awareness. So we'll start with just an overview of the Dharma. And that is that the Four Noble Truths teach us that we suffer on this earth, that clinging to anything is the cause of suffering because everything is impermanent. And in fact, we don't understand that we suffer because we seek to avoid suffering. We seek happiness from things that can't possibly sustain us, such as the body, status, wealth, ego fulfillment. Really, anything of this world is conditioned. Ajahn Sumedho, who inspired or guided this talk, says ours is a realm of agitation and dissatisfaction. And our suffering lessens when we really appreciate on an instinctual level that our suffering comes from trying to manipulate the conditioned world so that we can avoid suffering. And we can awaken, truly awaken, or even less fully kind of embark and embrace a wholesome path with insight and wisdom if we practice meditation, live ethically, and cultivate qualities that support insight and compassion. So that's the overview. And an elderly Thai monk once told Ajahn Sumedho, and this was before Ajahn Sumedho could speak Thai, and the elderly monk couldn't speak English, but yet he communicated that the whole of the Dharma is in the heart. And he meant that the whole of the Dharma is about a reflective observation of suffering, and suffering is felt in the heart. Wisdom about suffering doesn't come from an intellectual understanding. So when we don't observe the feelings of the heart and mind in the present moment, then we become overwhelmed by conditions, by reactions to us from people, from the world, from circumstances. When my family and friends say they love me and I'm great, it feels one way. And when they disagree with me or simply don't have time for me, that feels completely different. And if I let my happiness level rise and fall based on them, then I'm doomed to jump from good to bad mood, identifying with whatever view they have of me. So all events and things of this world are conditioned. Everything we experience through the senses, the heart, the mind, it's all conditioned, and conditions change. Just like the breath, all conditions rise and peak and cease. And Vipassana practice, watching the breath and the mind, heart in the present moment, can bring us the realization that the world, the body, the ego can't bring enduring happiness. And the idea that it can is an illusion. So when we cultivate mindfulness and when we're present in the moment, we are actually observing the unconditioned. And the unconditioned is pure awareness. It's the truth. It's the mind without conditioning. It's what is before the self. And it's often said to be difficult or impossible to describe with words. But we do touch into it when we're mindful in the present moment. Ajahn Sumedho says this: when you're in that state of pure attention, you can hear the ringing silence, a state of just listening, attentiveness in the present. There's no sense of a self in this. It's quite pure and it's intelligent. It's not like you're hypnotized or in a trance. And mindfulness is the portal through which we see our desire and our clinging and our suffering. And desire is human. We live in a desire realm. And the Dharma doesn't teach us to get rid of desire. It's not something to conquer. The Dharma asks us to know it and to investigate it. So, for instance, I have realized more and more that I was conditioned to identify with my achievement or lack thereof. And so as I grew up, to some degree, large or small achievement determined how I thought of myself and how much I liked myself on an unconscious level. So recently, my yoga teacher in class announced we would be doing shoulder stands. We didn't have to, we could do something else if we wanted, but I wasn't going to shirk. Yet I hadn't really tried to do one in weeks. I hadn't practiced. And as I prepared to do it, I had some fear. And it wasn't because I was afraid it would hurt or I would injure myself. It was my vanity I was worried about. Because it would really bother me if I tried but couldn't do a good straight shoulder stand. And I take class online. So the other students can't really see me, only my teacher can. And I wasn't worried about his perception of me. I was worried about mine. So that fear of failure is based on identifying myself with the ability to do a shoulder stand. If I could do it, I'm good. Otherwise, I'm not so good. So this is a kind of small example, but it is an example of attachment. I was clinging to an image of myself as younger and athletic. I was clinging to not failing, to succeeding. And underneath it was the idea of I'm a solid, separate self. All of those things, guilty as charged. However, due to these teachings, I was aware of it. And that meant it really didn't hurt because I observed it. And there was possibility for growth because of that. I was aware. And when things like that happen, I'm reminded of Christina Feldman's saying that from the earliest days, we're programmed to believe in a separate self and to make that self perfect. So the Dharma teaches us that present moment awareness is the entrance to liberation. It's the same capacity that we use when we're awakening, when we're awakened in the awakening process that the Buddha underwent. So it's really a great thing, even if it's temporary. When I'm on retreat, I notice after sitting for a few days in the present moment, trying to be in the present moment, that my preferences, my impulse to manipulate conditions lessens. My sort of grasping softens. And then it becomes apparent to me what a burden it is in my everyday life to struggle to have things perfect or the way I like them. It's so futile. Life is just inevitably imperfect, and it can change forever in an instant. I was at a brunch about 2 weeks ago today, and I saw a man who's married to a friend. He's very hip. He was very fit and healthy, very sweet guy. And 2 days later, he died after having a heart attack while biking. And there was no indication he had a heart problem. So as tragic as it is, it's just the nature of our lives. We all will age, become ill, and die. And everyone we love will too. And yet, before that, in this conditioned world, we can experience the unconditioned. We can awaken, even momentarily. And those moments help us, teach us little by little to let go of grasping. Ajahn Sumedho says that it's like listening, practicing being in the moment. It's like listening, and those who listen to life, pay attention to life, fall into a state of trust. And that underlying trust is what frees us from the feeling that we have to change, we have to control things so that we avoid hardship. We avoid failing or being despised or being ill or separating from our loved ones. Because those things will happen. And they don't interfere with happiness or awakening. They only not paying attention to life, to the moment, does that. Then we don't have to live like a monk to do that. We can experience pleasure and joy and beauty, and we can enjoy status and approval as long as we intuitively and deeply understand that those things are just pleasure and beauty, status or approval, and they'll pass. Just like the breath, they will arise and pass. And yet, if we enjoy the things of the conditioned world, the people that we love, the joys of, for instance, playing an instrument or gardening or telling a funny story and watching your friends laugh, we will find ourselves suffering when we lose them. Does that mean we're clinging? Yeah. It means we're human too. Rob Burbea, a wonderful British teacher, asks, what is the relationship we have to clinging and to attachment? It's important to look at that. For instance, if you watch the World Cup and you really care about the USA winning, You can get passionate about it. And if they lose on Thursday, I'll be disappointed. I don't know about you. Don't worry, the next game they'll probably win. But if I'm disappointed, it will last like 5 minutes. So that's an example of where there's not much suffering. There is some clinging, but it's minor. The suffering is minor. So Rob Burbea says, let the amount, the degree, the intensity, the way that we're suffering be the guide to how we investigate, how we feel about our clinging. We can't be perfectionists. And we want to bring kindness and understanding and patience to the path of non-attachment. And we want to recognize that there is humanity involved in attachment. When more difficult losses arise, like an end of a relationship, or a friend or grown children moving far away, or a death, we'll probably feel the cling. And before that happens, we may dread the loss. We'll probably feel attachment as we age. We'll desire our old bodies or our old lives. And is it possible to have some space around that? We can be aware of it. Ah, there's attachment. But we don't have to identify with it. We're not a bad self or a clingy self because we have attachment. We're human. And we can skillfully respond. And we know trying to get rid of suffering doesn't work. Trying to distract ourselves, I mean, it might work for very briefly, but it doesn't work. Talking yourself out of a sense of desire that things be different or the sense of loss, that doesn't work. So, how can we relax our relationship with attachment? Can we allow ourselves to grieve, knowing that we want things to be different? And can we recognize what attachment feels like? Can we do that with kindness? Knowing that it's human. It's not personal to me, to anyone. So now we're going to do a brief exercise investigating attachment. So taking a couple of cleansing deep breaths. Sitting alert and upright. Calling to mind some situation or person or circumstance where there's clinging that causes suffering. Some sense of anger or anxiety that this connection, this thing that you have or love or want may be threatened, or perhaps has already been lost. Maybe not use the most severe loss for right now. So calling it up in your heart and mind. And calling it up in the body. Not getting lost in the story of it, thinking about it, but being aware of how it feels, the sensations in the body. Attachment is like this. It feels like this. Is it possible to allow it to be just like this? Not changing it, not trying to get rid of it, abiding, allowing. It's not you. It's human. Coming to know it. And before we close, know that it helps us cultivate presence and work with attachment if we have also cultivated things like compassion, loving kindness, patience. I mean, the Buddhist teachings have lots of lists of supportive qualities to cultivate. The factors of awakening, the paramis. Can you spotlight me, please? Thanks. And they are very important. There's a synergy at work when we meditate, when we're in the present moment, and we're grounded in those qualities. It makes those, the insight we get from our present moment experience, more stable. It makes our mind and heart more stable. So I just want to encourage you to be kind and be patient with attachment, to investigate it through present moment awareness. And to always practice self-compassion. Thank you.